The first episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier will premiere this Friday, so I wanted to take a look at one of the characters who is supposed to be debuting in the MCU during that show, which is Jonathan Walker, also known as a US agent. At the end of Avengers Endgame, we see old Cap hand off his shield to Sam Wilson. However, just because Cap appoints someone to be the next Captain America, that doesn't necessarily mean that they will actually become the next Captain America. In comics, and I'm betting the MCU too, usually the US government has a larger say on who takes on the shield. As you might have noticed in the trailers, Sam Wilson never actually has the shield in any battle situations. The only time he has it is when he's just throwing it at trees. My guess is the government takes the shield from Sam and puts in place their own guy, which will likely be John Walker, because that's how it happened in the comics. So let's get into this. Who is John Walker? He's a bit of a strange character. So John Walker first appeared in Captain America number 323 in 1986. He was born in Clusters Grove, Georgia, to Caleb and Emily Walker. John has an older brother and a sister, and they grew up working on the family farm. His brother Mike joined the army and served as a helicopter pilot during the Vietnam War. Unfortunately, his brother was killed while serving his country. After his brother died, his parents painted his brother to be a true hero, and rightfully so, but this really influenced John's outlook in life. This idea of being a hero becomes John's main focus, and his main goal is to become what his brother was, a hero. So naturally, he follows his brother's footsteps and he joins the military. However, at this point, he served during a time of peace, and after his military term ends, John feels that he is no closer at being a hero. After he leaves the military, he hears of an organization known as Power Broker Inc. And this group can turn regular people into heroes by giving them super strength. So John signs up immediately, and he gains super strength, reflexes, durability, and stamina. Essentially all the same abilities as Captain America, but at a much higher level. He's like Cap on steroids. John initially plans on becoming a wrestler to help pay back his debt to Power Broker Inc., but he's stopped on the way to the tryouts by a man named Ethan Thurman, who wants to try to turn John into a national superhero, and Ethan wants to be his manager / PR guy. So together they create the persona, the Super Patriot. And to really bring attention to himself and gain a following, they host a rally, which somehow gets thousands of people to attend and multiple news outlets to cover. And the rally's main goal is to sway public opinion away from Captain America and get support for the Super Patriot as a role of America's hero. And this takes place after Steve Rogers battled Flag Smasher and his terrorist group, who took a bunch of hostages, and it ended with Steve Rogers having to kill one of the terrorists with a gun before they could open fire on the hostages. And this is supposed to be Steve Rogers' first ever kill. So Super Patriot pushes the narrative that Steve Rogers is too old to continue. He's out of touch with America, which is why he's resorted to gun violence. And he even stages an attack by a group of fake Cap supporters known as the Buckies. And throughout the introduction of John Walker, you really see that all of his actions are based on how the media or public opinion will react to his actions. For example, he doesn't stop to help an old woman being mugged because that won't gain him enough media attention. Or he'll wait before taking on certain conflicts depending on how much coverage he receives for it. It really paints Walker kind of like DC's Booster Gold, who's a character who only becomes a hero just to gain celebrity status. But as time goes on, Marvel shifts Walker's motivations to being more in the same vein as Steve Rogers and having more of a desire to truly serve his country, with just the biggest difference being how the two go about doing this. Anyway, and as the Super Patriot continues his campaign to disgrace the name of Captain America, he goes as far as sending out his group of Buckies, the fake Cap supporters, to go around college campuses and harass minority groups in some pretty racist ways. And this is really the last straw for Steve Rogers, and he intends on confronting the Super Patriot at a music festival, which of course leads to the two of them getting into a fight. And this is the first time we really see just how strong Walker is. Although the fight between Rogers and Walker is pretty lengthy, Walker really handles Steve with very little effort. And he even has the ability to end the fight as the victor, but he kind of just suddenly decides to go back to the concert before he can officially win and knock out Steve Rogers. But then we're introduced to a government group called the Presidential Commission on Superhuman Activities, and this group really has it out for Steve Rogers. They call in Steve Rogers for a meeting, and they basically make him an ultimatum. Since the Captain America persona, the shield, the costume, really belongs to the military, he has two choices. Steve can either step down as an Avenger, join the military again, and become the military's puppet, or turn in the shield, the costume, and the name Captain America, and have the military replace him with someone new. Steve decides that his ability to operate freely as a hero is more important than a name, so he comes back to the commission, and he turns in his costume shield, and steps down from the name Captain America. With the commission still wanting the role of Captain America to be out there, they go over some options of who can replace Steve Rogers. Some of the first choices are Sam Wilson and even Nick Fury, but they end up going with John Walker to become the new Captain America. And this is mostly because they believe that Walker will be the easiest to control. As part of becoming the new Cap, Walker has to drop his manager Ethan, but is able to bring on one of his goons to become the new Bucky. And they both put through some intense training to be able to mimic the fighting style of Steve Rogers. And they even go as far as bringing in the Taskmaster to be one of his trainers. Walker eventually goes on one of his first missions against the extremist group, the Watchdogs, and he's fairly successful at taking them down. However, as time goes on, the pressure of being just like Steve Rogers begins to mount on Walker. And during one mission against Professor Power, Walker ends up beating him to death. But things really start to go south when Ethan, his old manager, recruits a new team to try to replace John as American heroes. And his replacements are actually two of his old friends. But during one of their rallies, they slip up and reveal Walker's true identity. And this leads to the Watchdogs abducting Walker's parents and setting a trap for Walker. Walker, not really having much of a choice, goes right into the trap, and when he tries to break free, the Watchdogs gun down both his mom and dad. And after this, his mind completely snaps, and he ends up killing almost the entire group, and he really goes off the deep end mentally. And in this mental state, Walker then tracks down both of his friends that revealed his identity, which led to his parents' death, and attempts to murder them both by blowing them up. But after this, the Commission is basically done with Walker being Captain America. But after the Flag Smasher returns, the Commission really has no choice but to give him a second chance. The Flag Smasher then defeats Walker, Rogers then comes in, saves the hostages, takes down the Flag Smasher, and Walker and Rogers again come face to face with each other, and they begin to battle again. At this point, Steve Rogers is taking on the mantle as Captain, with the black suit instead of the blue, and Rogers ends up winning this round against Walker. When they get back and see that Rogers was able to defeat Flag Smasher and not Walker, they fire Walker from the role as Captain America. And this ends up being more of a good thing for Walker because it really gives him some clarity in life. And he's kind of through with people telling him how he should act, and he acknowledges that he's not Steve Rogers, and he never will be, and he needs to find his own path in life. But this gives Rogers the opportunity to take back the mantle as Captain America. And from here, Walker really becomes more of a background character in Marvel. He fakes his own death, but is quickly brought back into the military as a US agent. And when the military brought back Walker, they wiped his mind. So all the trauma that left him mentally unstable is basically washed away. And after the events of Vision trying to take over every computer in the world, the US government then places the US agent as the leader of the West Coast Avengers, without the consent of the Avengers. And Walker stays the leader of the West Coast Avengers until they eventually disband. And he shuffled around some different minor teams throughout the years, such as Force Works, the Jury, Stars, the Invaders, and the Mighty Avengers. But his last notable role is when he's asked by Steve Rogers himself, during the time that Sam Wilson had the role as Captain America, to try to have Sam step down from the role. Sam of course declines, which leads Walker to try to take the shield back by force. They fight it out and Sam ends up being the winner, and I'm sure some conflict between Sam and Walker will occur during the show as well. But in comics, this is when Rogers was more or less under the control of the Red Skull, and Rogers was secretly a Hydra agent, so I don't think this exact storyline will play out. But that's the main points of John Walker / US agent. He's certainly not a villain, and he tries to do good, it's just he's a bit of a hothead. But I'm going to wrap this video up. Hope you guys liked it. If you did, make sure you slap that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.